Good day. This is Brian from How We Got Here Genealogy, and welcome to my Saturday afternoon edition of the Genealogy Happy Hour. So, as I've been doing, it's just been testing different times of days, different days of the week, and see how things are going and what looks good for people. So, today my plan was to, if we have enough people in the audience that are interested, to work on building a family tree. You'll see there's a poll in the chat there for those watching live, and you can vote on what you want me to do. I'm going to give you a little time to do that while I just discuss sort of the basics as you prepare for a family tree, and it doesn't seem like there's an interest. We'll skip it, and maybe I'll do it another day. But if you're watching this on the replay, I welcome you too. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos after they go live. That's where I do seem to get the audience in them, and I do appreciate that, each and every one of you. If you haven't watched it, catch my latest video. I just released this afternoon. I was up till 6 in the morning today working on it. It's the family tree of Brian Mulroney. I started a while back doing a series on Prime Minister's family trees. Didn't really take off at the beginning, but it's actually picked up some steam. And where Brian Mulroney just passed away, I had actually been working on getting all the family trees of different people together. So I thought it was a good opportunity as well that people might have an interest in. If you're interested in that type of thing, let me know. If there's other celebrities, historical figures you'd love to see a family tree of, leave it in the comments. And as always, I invite you, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I go live and when I release a new video. So before I get started, I'm going to have a sip of hot chocolate out of my, I'd rather be drinking a Guinness coffee mug. Hot chocolate. It's not a bad alternative to Guinness for sure. Okay. You can get that mug and other things, and I'm going to actually I'm working on a series of different ethnic origins for people to have a mug so they can display their origin. If you'd like something, you think of a witty thing such as I'd rather be drinking Guinness than I have for Irish, let me know, and it might be something I can put on a mug, and or let me know which ethnicities you'd love to see on there. Okay. So I'm going to just check in on that poll. I didn't have anybody vote on it yet, so we might just make a pause of this now. It doesn't look like it's a good time, and I wasn't sure. One time I did a Saturday earlier in the day, and I got a lot of people. I know a lot of people interested in genealogy are at Roostech this weekend as well, and they are probably watching some of the amazing classes that are going on there. So the idea is that in this, if I don't do it today, I will do it in a future session, is to work with my audience in finding and building out a family tree for somebody. I'm suggesting somebody famous who passed away, but if you want your family tree to be worked on and you want my audience to help work on it, you can leave a comment there, and we'll be glad to look into that. Okay. So, yeah, I got no butters yet, so let's just listen to a little going to listen to a little music on my side here in a minute, just to enjoy myself. It's a fairly nice warm afternoon here in PEI today, which is really good considering the cold weather we've had. We had a lot of rain that melted the snow, but it actually caused a little flooding in my basement, so it wasn't pleasant. Not a lot though, so I was really happy with that. Nothing that couldn't have been sucked up in the shop vac very quickly. But it's just a consistent pain. It's actually probably been the best early melt with lots of rain that I've had as far as the amount of water we got in. So some of the improvements I've done actually have made a difference. Okay, yeah, so if you're looking over my shoulder there, you're right there, you're going to see the Roots book. That's actually, if you haven't seen the movie Roots, Where Have You Been? At least you probably weren't alive in the 70s or 80s. It's actually one of the things that spurred on a lot of people in the genealogy. There was a whole movement of that, people desiring to trace their roots. Whether there's been some questions about authenticity, and because of comparisons with some other stories, I don't know. I'm not going to judge, but it is a great telling of a family story, and I'm assuming that for the most part it is. It seems to it's true, and he's researched it, and I'm not going to make a judgment there. But yeah, it's great. It's a great way to see what you can do with genealogy. You can make a book that turns into a long, well-acclaimed miniseries in the 70s, and so much so that they redid it in the early 2000s as well. There was actually a sequel. There's some other books about his family that they turned into movies. So it's amazing what you can do with your family stories, and there's lots of great stories to be told. So when the last couple of days since I've been putting the finishing touches on my Brian Mulrooney video, and one of the reasons I was up late, I found a really good resource late at night, and so I was going through that and getting some things, correcting some things, trying to see how I was going to lay it out. I'm not sure if it's the most engaging, but the information's there if you want to see. Got a really fascinating lineage. He was from Quebec. Of his 16 second great grandparents, 15 of them were born in Ireland. The one that wasn't born in Ireland, her mother was born in Ireland. Actually, her father was born in Denmark, which is a kind of a unusual combination, especially in that area of Quebec. So that's kind of interesting. But I found a great website. I hadn't done a lot of digging into Quebec genealogy. One of the things I recommend is you have a good translation program. Google Translate's good enough. But it's when you start looking at some of the written stuff, it's a little harder to read than just English cursive, just because there's the accents, and most of the records I saw had a really, I want to say, a thick pen. Like it was much thicker, harder than I'm used to seeing in a lot of the older records from that time period, the late 1700s, early 1800s, that I'm sort of used to. Of course, it's different depending what areas you're in, and who's actually recording at the time. So, yeah, when we put any type of family tree together, if you've watched my videos, one of the great things to do is start a fan tree, a fan chart. And really simply with that is you're just getting all the information you already know, getting it in there and putting it in so you know what you need to get. You can put the people that you need to get, their relationships, any facts you have, any dates of marriages, dates of birth, and it really helps you organize and then get into doing a genealogy plan where you're actually asking questions by looking at your fan chart and seeing what information is missing. You're developing those questions that will lead you to find answers, which will help you eventually fill out your family tree and begin to fill out those stories. A lot of family tree work is working and looking for those records, because a lot of times you have to know where the person was, when they were, and who they were before you can actually start researching the stories. So it's an important first step. And it's really important to verify the facts with as many quality sources as you can get. Quality sources depends on the period, depends on the location too. What would qualify as sort of as a good source. For instance, anything modern, you're probably going to mostly be, and by modern I mean less than 100 years old. A lot of those records, depending on the jurisdiction, may not be available. So you're looking at witnesses, you're looking at your interviews, you're looking at some newspapers, which might provide you information, any court records you might be able to find. But a lot of those are, again, harder to find, especially as governments have really there's a real sense of maintaining privacy around a lot of these materials. As you can imagine, it would be very easy for somebody to, if all those records were open, to have that information, be able to print up a fairly good copy of a birth registration or whatever and say you are that person. So there's so you could, it's prevent identity theft, prevent privacy. It's one of the reasons when I do this, unless it's somebody somebody that has a known that has passed away, I'm not going to probably do a public dig in their family tree. A couple of things, like Brian Mulrooney, his 4 kids, I really didn't go in depth into them. I went into the 2, the one that's a politician and one that's Ben Mulrooney, who's on TV. It was just basically talking about the public record. I didn't go into grandkids or anything, just because I do want to protect people's privacy. And all the information I had was just, I didn't look for birth dates, records, or anything like that. I was providing the information that I could find easily, and just to fill out that. With other prime ministers, that when they go back, what actually I'm doing with them, I'm trying to get to every prime minister when I do them. First of all, to connect their first ancestor to come to Canada, and then if they're one of the older prime ministers, I want to do the descendants up until we hit the living ones, and then the idea would be, unless that person is a prominent person as well, I would not be talking any more than they have, 6 great grandsons, 7 great granddaughters, or whatever, in very vague terms. Again, things that aren't there in the public, that are there in the public already. So I'm not seeing anybody else dropping in and wanting to work on a specific type of tree. So I am going to do this probably sometime later in this week. I'll do the same thing. So if you're watching this on the replay, look out for that. I'll probably use a very similar thumbnail or title, and I'm going to probably put up a community post at the beginning of the week. I'm looking for some suggestions. So as I tend to do, as I wind up, this is my How We Got Here Genealogy happy hour. You always like to end with last call. So I'm going to ring the bell. And I'm going to call last call.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I need to announce it's last call at the bar. Oh.
So basically, this is your last chance to ask a question that you want answered. I'll stick around for a few minutes, and if there's a nagging question about genealogy or your own family research you're having problems with, ask it in the chat. And so I'm gonna, like I said, go for a minute and see what we have. There are a few people watching, I've noticed, so okay. I don't see anybody anxiously typing a question there, so I'm going to wrap up. So everybody, have a great day.